Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Michelle Cannon-Bear. Thank you, Witchy Moon. Thank you, Millie de la Prida. Thank you, Guinevere. Thank you, Elderberry. Um, there's a lot of people here. Thank you all for coming. Oh, Nina the Mystic's here too. Thank you, Nina the Mystic. Thank you all for coming. Tonight, we're going on an idea that Grandpa Brian suggested to me. What if? And we're going to basically discuss what if scenarios, and then from there discuss what those what if scenarios can mean to us and what we think about them, and that sort of thing. So Brian, how you been? How you been the last
Um,
24 hours?
Good. A little cold. Just out in the woods quite a bit today.
Hmm.
But other than that, doing good. Got some food in my tummy and just
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I got some food in my stomach too. Yeah, well, I was driving to the store to pick up something small, which was one of those things where I was going in and out. And then as I'm driving, my wife says, "Hey, can you go pick up purple potatoes for me?" And I said, "No, I'm not picking up purple potatoes for you now. I'll pick them tomorrow morning because Black Friday. I will not shop on Black Friday. Only reason why I went out today is because one of the things where I could order it online, go in and pick it up and get the heck out of there because I'm not big with crowds. But
yeah,
yeah,
me too.
yeah, yeah. I would never shop on Black Friday normally, but it was one of those things where it's when I saw, okay, I can go in and out. I'm no big deal. But that's it. Um, let's see the questions. Do you want to start with yours because yours are pretty good?
It
Uh,
doesn't matter however you want to do it.
yeah, this is the first one I can see. Your first one was, what if Jesus was never crucified? Would we still know forgiveness? Would the New Testament even exist? And I had added for previous question mine is that what if Jesus, and that would also, if Jesus would never crucified, would that have given him a chance to actually write things down? So if there was a New Testament, let's say if he wasn't crucified, would the religion even exist? And if it did exist, would he have actually written some of it? Um, and
Uh, well,
that's a yeah.
yeah, Christianity did exist before him because at his time they were actually the Old Testament was around. So that's what the church basically taught off of was the Old Testament. And then later they found, okay, we can get better control over people if we do this scenario.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, it was all written. If I don't know, you ever read Caesar's Messiah?
I have read that. Yes.
Yeah, because that kind of shows how all the Gospels and everything were written down.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I read that a while. I still have it somewhere. I was going to read it again, but I misplaced it. It was there was a lot to that book. I heard other people talking about it, but there is so much in that Caesar's Messiah. So much information about where the where some of the Gospels came from, the stories that he traced to actual historic events that really are positive in the gospel, but the story behind the story is pretty gruesome. Well, I mean,
Hmm.
the Fishers of Men was literally about people spearing people in the water. Well, it's just
Yep.
there's a lot to it.
Yes, there is. So, uh, and how I kind of came up with that, I watched a movie a few weeks ago. It was called Black Sunday,
Okay.
where they actually went back in time and actually killed Jesus before the crucifixion ever happened. And basically, what it was, the guy that was funding all this, he was Muslim, and he thought if they went back and killed Jesus before the crucifixion, Christianity wouldn't have been born.
I see.
But then there was like three different times it got traveled back and things got switched around. And when the Muslim, when he went back in time and seen that Jesus died before the crucifixion, when he went back in time to his timeline, basically the world was destroyed because no one knew about forgiveness. It
Ah,
was Jesus who actually taught everybody about forgiveness. Because
interesting.
when he was on the cross, he basically said, "Forgive them from they not know what they have done." So that's what I'm saying. If there wasn't a crucifixion, will we still have the forgiveness in our hearts that he taught us by his sacrifice? So, those that's why I'm like doing this what if, because now you start thinking of a different scenario. Would there be all this forgiveness in the world? Would the world be more cruel than what it is right now because there would be no forgiveness?
That is interesting. I have never considered that Jesus was the basically the example, by
Correct.
doing his act about, because this truly is forgiveness. Because I mean, they may claim, that the Hebrews killed Jesus, but it wasn't the Hebrews. It was everyone. It was everyone was responsible for it. Wow, that's a lot to it. You're right. So, but his act of just total forgiveness for sacrificing him. Wow, that is huge. I've never even thought of it that way.
And that's why I like that scenario. What if? Because then it makes you start thinking outside that box. Okay, well, what if what? And that movie kind of like when I was thinking about that brought it all together. But because for some reason you start thinking and talking about stuff, and the next thing you know, it's popping up on your phone. So if you really
Yeah,
want to know something, talk with your phone on,
yeah,
and it'll pop up for you.
yeah. It's interesting. You're right. Yeah, yeah. That is interesting.
So
Wow.
maybe the church, like I said, because of how everything was written for the New Testament. Uh, do you think if he wasn't crucified, do you think we would have had a New Testament? Because what he was actually really teaching and what he would have been writing down is totally different than what the church actually wants to teach you now about it.
Yeah, that's one of my problems. That everything. I mean, what they have said that Jesus actually said, it contradicts a lot of the rest of the Bible. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot to that. I mean, everything I know about the real gospel of Jesus has contradictions in other parts of the Bible, and it's a lot too. The New Testament. Let's take the New Testament and the Old Testament apart, separate them completely, and it is a lot, because there's a lot of because the New Testament gives people the power to proselytize, to convert, to do all these things to it. But nowhere in there did Jesus ever say convert anybody. Um, I don't even think he didn't even want a religion of himself. He just said, follow me. And he didn't mean follow me as I am the Messiah. He meant follow me as these are my teachings. And here's what you can do. So you're right. I mean, if he was never crucified, would they even accept that? Would there even be a New Testament? Because would they even take his writings as important? Huh.
Exactly. Uh, I mean, he said a lot of important stuff like the kingdom of God is inside of you. And he was trying to teach people that nothing is external. And we try to get that across on Andromeda 7. Everything is internal.
Yes.
And if you actually look how religion is set up where everything is external. We're always taught to go outside ourselves to find our Savior. To I really have a hard time with the worship thing because why would Source want us to worship Him?
Yeah, that's when you go deep into it, you realize that Source does not want worshipers. They want what they it. I don't even know how to express it because my connection with Source is never male or female. So I mean,
It's
I don't want to
both.
say he. Yeah, exactly. It's both. So with that, whenever I connected with Source, it's always about working with it, bringing it out, finding ways to express it in the real world. Um, but it doesn't want worshipers. Doesn't even want helpers. It wants people to work hand in hand at the same level. It's hard to express. Um, Working with Source directly, it's a peaceful, perfect, and even when you come out of it, that's the pain. I mean, that's working with Source directly, kind of face to face, and
Hmm.
coming out of it is painful.
Yes.
Because because you can't everything you grasp in while working with Source, when you come out of it in the real world, you can't bring it with you. You can only bring some of it with you. And so yeah, that's a painful. And then Jesus was supposedly all of that, so he was one to exemplify all that energy in the real world and bring that out constantly. But if he wasn't crucified, that would something else happen? I don't know. That's a lot to that. I thought that was a little simpler than that. It is not a simple thing. It is. There's a lot to this.
Exactly. And you also got to think too the crucifixion. Uh, and you think back to the Old Testament and how vengeful that God was, and how He wanted this sacrifice and that sacrifice. And when they made the crucifixion in the New Testament, they had to basically create a new God that wasn't vengeful, that was willing to give up His only Son for our sins. So if you look at it, they had to create another God, because if you look back and read the Old Testament, that God was vengeful. He wanted worship. You had to follow this, that. I mean, there were so many rules. Boom, 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 boom. Where in the New Testament, because of the crucifixion, uh, you have a loving God now that was willing to sacrifice His Son for our sins. So now, just say the crucifixion didn't happen. So would we still be worshiping that God of the Old Testament, the vengeful God that wanted sacrifices? And
Yeah.
so, and that could be put us in a different mindset than what we are right now, because in the religion you would have been learning that the God is a vengeful God, so you better do what He says or He will strike you down.
Very interesting. Because that's the yeah. Because in Judaism, they did a lot of sacrifices for their temples constantly.
Hmm.
But Jesus was the last sacrifice because Christianity didn't support sacrifices ever.
Right.
There were aspects, was it Santa Maria or other things that use it, and they kind of infiltrate Christianity. But that's not the truth. The Protestant and Catholicism and the main books teachers, they don't believe in any sacrifice at all, and that Jesus is the wow. This is so much. So without the
Hmm.
crucifixion, you wouldn't have the sacrifice. You wouldn't. This so
Exactly.
I did not fully think this through. This is huge. There's a lot to this.
Hmm. That's why we might not be able to make it through the rest of the questions, because this one could be lengthy. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot
Yeah.
to explore right here. Thinking, okay, now, so if this event didn't happen, how would that have changed from that point to now? And also change our way of thinking from that point to now.
Hmm. There's a lot to that. Yeah, because I mean, I didn't even think how impactful the crucifixion was. And I've always put it off as it was just a, a, a way to basically prove to everyone how great God was and how, wow, I did not put so much credit into the crucifixion as the forgiveness and the example, living by example. Wow.
Hmm. And the reason why he was so willing, because he already knew that he was going to ascend and actually break through the matrix of this
Hmm.
reality. He already knew how to, and that's what he was trying to teach. That's why if people get the Nag Hammadi and read it,
Hmm.
it is actually a fabulous read. It'll definitely open your eyes up to the true teachings of Jesus and why the church hid all this, because
Hmm.
they don't want you to know. And then it also gets back to what I was talking about last night, that recycling in
Yeah.
the afterlife. And I actually had a video pop up today, and they were talking about the recycling of the afterlife,
Hmm.
and that Jesus actually did show you the way to escape that. I have everything written down, so at the end of the show, I can recite uh, what you're supposed to ingrain in your spirit and your subconscious. Do it morning and night until the day you pass away, and you will be able to get past them 7 gates.
Hmm.
And if you notice, like in a lot of different religions, there's seven, like was it Buddhism, seven levels
Yes.
of consciousness. You have the seven uh, different heavens. So in all these religions, you notice how it's all the same. There's 7 levels.
Hmm.
So if you cannot break through all them 7 levels, then boom, you're gonna be right back in.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. That is. Yeah. Wow.
But the really interesting is the forgiveness. I mean, would we actually be where we are as a human race if there wasn't forgiveness? Do you think the world would be a lot worse than what it is? I mean, I know we have controllers that control and, want to make sure that negative things happen. There's always war and all that, but would have been a lot worse because humans didn't know anything about true forgiveness. Maybe they know how to forgive, but the true essence of forgiveness that he taught us.
Yeah. That's. I does other religion teach it? I'm not
Uh,
sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
I've never looked into this. That's what I'm writing it down right now so I can look into that because I mean, uh, Millie de la Prida mentioned unconditional love
Yep, and that's
as
also what
part
he
of
taught us
forgiveness. Right.
because his unconditional love for us, he was willing to make that sacrifice of himself.
Yes, because you cannot truly forgive unless you have unconditional love. But just
Exactly.
but just doing the act of forgiveness is is powerful.
Now, true forgiveness, where you mean that forgiveness from your heart, not just, all right, I forgive them and just let's forget about it, go on. That's not, to me, not really like true forgiveness. When you truly forgive someone, you actually truly forgive them from your heart. And like I said,
Right.
that comes from the unconditional love.
Hmm. Because the true forgiveness is basically with nothing attached to it. It's just letting it be. Huh. I mean, where would that ever happen before? Because everything else was vengeful. Before the Old Testament was all vengeful. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
Yep.
It's all about retribution.
And you have these commandments that you have to follow or you're going to burn in hell.
Right. Right. Yes. And that is criminal. You're paying for it. That's karma. Karma's
Hmm.
not in it. There's no forgiveness in karma. Oh my goodness. Yes. So with that, it does solidify the idea that there are no other sources of forgiveness taught before Jesus. Wow.
Right.
I have to look more into that. But
I mean, there could have been. I mean, Buddha could have taught that, but I've never really studied that Buddhism, so I would not really know.
I have studied Buddhism to support my wife. My wife is Buddhist, and I need to understand her religion. But again, she's like all religions. There's the teachings of Buddha, then there's the dogmas attached to it. And I was fully into the teachings of Buddha, and then she would say something. I'm like, but that's not Buddhism. And she, I know it is, it is. And then she would talk about her culture, and I would get confused. And that's when I was talking to a friend of mine who was, you know, dyed in the wool Catholic. His father was going to be a priest. His father was the nicest guy in the world, and I'm talking to him about it. And his father happened to be there, and he goes, "That's what religion's about." And he was talking about how Jesus taught all this stuff, but then the religion puts all this in there with the dogma and the rest of the Bible, and then the truth of Jesus, and that's why he couldn't become a priest, because he understood, I want to follow Jesus, but I do not want to follow the religion. And that's when he said, that's like all religions, is that you have the teachings of the prophet, you have the teachings of the head, and then you have the religion attached to it. They're two different things, and the only true people who belong, who will know the truth, are those who can separate the truth of their God, or the person they're following, or their leader, whatever you want to call the Jesus or Buddha. Because even Buddha didn't want to be a religious head. He just wanted to teach. Teacher.
Mm-hmm.
That's a better thing. Let's call,
Yep.
because that's what he wanted. That's all Jesus wanted to be, was rabbi, teacher. That's all
Yes.
Buddha wanted to be, is teacher. Wow, that's another bam, 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 bam. That's huge. It's once the teacher becomes a religion, they their teachings get covered with garbage that doesn't belong
Yes.
there. So Jesus
Mm-hmm.
did all these acts, and it's kind of diluted from the dogmas of the religion. Oh boy.
Yes.
I mean, just like I said, I passed off as the crucifixion as it's not important because you got to follow the teachings of Jesus. But you've just told me, you just taught me that the crucifixion of itself is part of his teachings.
Yes.
And they are focusing more on, I don't know how to, the shame we should have for that Jesus did, that Jesus died for our sins. That's what they want to focus on, rather than Jesus forgave us. So
Mm-hmm.
they made it from freeing us, forgiving us for, for all of our sins, to us obligated to follow Jesus because he forgave our sins. Oh my God, that's so huge. They take the forgiveness off. They take for the crucifixion. They really take that forgiveness and put it, just to cover it up, to
Yeah.
make you feel regret for having your God be sacrificing himself. Oh
Yes.
boy, this is a loop. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my goodness.
Now
I
you know
so
why the what ifs, because you could, when you start discussing this, next thing you know, it starts leading different directions. Things start popping into your head, and then eventually it'll all make sense to us.
And you're right. If Jesus was not crucified, there could not be a New Testament. There would be probably stories and books written by people, uh, and they might have been
Mm-hmm.
burned, they might have been buried. We might find them now, of the great teachings of the Emmanuel, or whatever his real name was. Uh, yes, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Ishua.
Jesus, yeah, Yeshua, yeah, whatever his. And we'd read all the teachings of this great prophet from 2,000 years ago, but he would have not been sacrificed, so would he have as much impact? Because we do, there are others who followed the same teachings, who wrote, but they don't have as much impact as the of Jesus being part of the religion. Wow, this is
Mm-hmm.
so much. This is so much.
Well, I'm glad I got you thinking.
Yeah, I'm going to be meditating on this concept because I never even considered this because I what I thought was a small subject is like a sponge. You know, oh, it's little, it's not, and they put it in water and
Hmm.
it expands and it's oh, it's so big now. Um, or like a towel. A towel is light
Yeah.
when you have it, but when you and it gets wet, it becomes very heavy because it absorbs all the water. And this forgiveness thing is, would you think, oh, it's just forgiveness, it's not a big deal, but there's so much, there's so many aspects to it. It's huge. Um, it's important. It's insightful. It's incredible. Hmm.
Hmm. Yes, it is. Uh, I forget what I was going to say now. Like I was saying last night when I was talking to Trina, or we were out there talking when I was in Phoenix, that wonder if Jesus didn't die, but it was his brother James that was actually
Right.
crucified, so that way he could
Yes.
live on with his teaching. That's like you said, the Nagamati. They found that buried out in the sand outside Nagamati, Egypt.
Yes.
And what it was when they started destroying all this writing that wasn't going to fit with their doctrine, they buried it in the sand
Mm-hmm.
and left it because they knew that was going to be the true teachings of Jesus, not
Mm-hmm.
what the church was wanting you to, only wanted you to know.
True. True. True.
So,
Yes.
and I do believe in the Nagamati, there is writings from Jesus in there.
Look into
What
that.
I liked about the Nagamati, there's a couple times, like I think it's the Apocryphy of John, where like all the disciples were asleep, and it was just John and Jesus, and it was like a question and answer. So John would ask questions, and Jesus would, answer the questions. Really fascinating.
Yeah, that is interesting because
Uh,
I've
I, I
yeah.
Yeah, I really hope that it makes people think in the chat about, and people that will watch us in the future, about that forgiveness. Really, really, like you said, meditate on it and see if they can show you what the world would have been like if he wasn't crucified. If there was still the forgiveness that we have now.
True. 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 Hmm. Wow.
Yeah, it's a mind bender. I mean, that's why I like looking at things from a different perspective, because if you look at it from a different perspective, then it really makes you think, well, what if? And yeah,
Hmm. 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 This wow. I don't know where to go from here with this because it's like
I, it's kind of hard. I mean, it's kind of hard to grasp your consciousness around that when you start thinking that way. And that's what I've been going through ever since I got out to Arizona. It's just,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
it was just that first time going, well, what if? And then, man, now it's almost like everything. It's like, well, what if, you know, this, or what if that? And then look at it from that perspective, and then kind of walk your way through that and like, wow, okay, that's different from what it is now. And if that happened, that what if way, what would it be like now?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, even with that, after his crucifixion, he came back and they had doubting Thomas, who needed to
Hmm.
put his hands through the wounds, something like that. And someone else wrote about that actually we made it shameful, that what Thomas did was shameful. But the truth was that Thomas meant twin, and supposedly Thomas was actually looked very much like Jesus. And there was something more to the act that he did, that it wasn't about doubting Jesus, but about proving that he is come back. It was I
Right.
can't remember the whole. Yeah, it was there was so much to it on another level, but we just assume that it's about Thomas in questioning the great Jesus Christ, but it was actually about Thomas in proving how great Jesus was. They turn everything
Right.
around.
That he died, was crucified, and then he came back like he said he would 3 days later.
Right,
Boom.
right.
So there was no doubt that he was who he said he was.
Very interesting. Yes, that was. It was. Yeah, it was. It was so much to it. Interesting. I mean, it just it adds so another layer to a thing that I never even I washed over from my childhood because the crucifixion was a horrible thing to my. I mean, I never in my life understood the Jesus on the cross at the front of the altar and how that's our religion. We're just about a
Right.
suffering of the poor man, and it became focusing on his suffering, not on his forgiveness. And now I'm just getting stuck on that. I'm just over and over again that the whole religion that I grew up on was about Jesus' suffering and how important that was. But no, it wasn't about it was about him forgiving everyone.
His
Everyone.
forgiveness. Everyone. Yep.
Huge. It's a huge thing. And I don't know if any Christian religion will ever capture that. And if they did, how long do they last before they get taken out from, some way or another, financially or something?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Yeah, Michelle Cameron Free says the image is all about traumatizing. That's what it was. It was horrible
Yep.
traumatization. Because I just to this day, I can see the suffering man on the cross as I went to. Because I used to go, church when I could. It was God. It was all over the school because I used to go went to Sunday school. Because if I couldn't go in the church, I had to stay in the Sunday school with the nuns. And again, that they were always the image of. I actually owned some crucifixes because I didn't want them to get, you know, desecrated or something like that. So I took them on myself, and I don't like the image, but I don't want it to be desecrated. It's so weird. It's so.
Yep.
But now I see the crucifixes that I actually own with the man on them, um, a whole new level. I don't see it as now the pain of the man. It's about the forgiveness of the man. Oh my goodness! You've given
And
me
you
a
also
whole
got to
different.
think too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you also got to think too. Okay, there was physical suffering, but consciously, I believe he was at peace
Yeah. This is
because
what.
he knew where he was going to. So he, even though there was physical suffering, he was still at peace because he loved everybody, he forgave everyone, and he knew where he was ascending to when it came his time.
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot. Oh my goodness. There's probably a lot more to it that we're missing because I mean the crown of
Oh, I'm sure there
thorns.
is.
I mean there was something. There's probably so much that we don't even understand that to us it's all about the suffering, but no, it's about something else. Because I
Yeah,
remember the
this,
crown of thorns. There was the slashing of the sides. There was him carrying the cross, and someone else had to carry it for a short time for him too.
Mm-hmm.
That was allowed, and there was something
Yep.
about that. There might be more to it that I need to look into. There's so much.
And you got to think the person that helped him with the cross, their conscious thought probably was, let me help you with what you are having to bear.
Exactly. I mean, even with that, there's the shame of Judah, who betrayed Jesus, and then there's other stories where Jesus trusted Judah and said, "Please, this is what you have to do. You have to out me, because if you don't out me, I can't finish my job." And of course, Judah did as he was told, because supposedly he was one of the high respected ones of the apostles. It goes on and on, and then you get into that.
Yeah, there
How
again, if he doesn't do that, then there's probably no crucifixion.
exactly there was at that point they didn't know who he was for some reason, which is even more weird.
Well, there again in the Bible, he talks about walking through cities and being invisible to people
Oh,
because you had to have that consciousness and high vibration to be able to see him.
interesting.
So he was able to enter into cities where it was really low vibration and walk through there and no one see him.
Because they didn't have the right vibration.
Yes.
That is that is interesting, because he's also the same guy who went into the temples and destroyed the temples, and so and whipped the people who were was it desecrating the temple grounds. But if he was such a high vibration, then
The reason why is because being human, he got angry, which at that point in time it lowered his vibration down.
yes,
So you got to think, when you're angry, you're lowering your vibration down. So when he was angered for the desecration that they were doing to the temples and the sacrifices and all that, he actually lowered his vibration down to where they could see him destroy everything.
hmm, yes, that makes sense. And then once he gained his composure again, he became invisible. Once he
Yep.
realized after the fact, oh dear.
Yep, and that's why they couldn't find him because they weren't at a high enough vibration to be able to see him.
Interesting. Oh boy, yeah, that is, and that's why he had to have Judah do what Judah did, and Judah had to kiss him to make him seen again. Wow, that's,
Exactly.
oh boy, there's so much to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're only on the first one.
I am stunned. I mean, the, well, it's the Christmas season, so it's okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I am just never to such a I mean, hmm.
And it all come to me because I started looking at things from a different perspective. And when you alter your perspective to think a different way, sometimes things make a little more sense when you alter your perspective on a situation.
True. That's another. Yeah, you look at something from a different point of view. Um, if you can release your last point of view, you can get so much more insight. But again,
Mm-hmm.
that's easier said than done sometimes. But if you can do that, that is interesting. I just never considered all this. Hmm.
And no one in religion has ever considered all this. Like you said, religion teaches that he was sacrificed for our sins.
Right.
It's, it should be he showed us the forgiveness that we all should have inside of us.
Yes. 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 True. Hmm. And I mean, there's the belief that he had someone who else was. So how would that be? Okay. So if he wasn't crucified, if his brother James was crucified in his stead, did he teach James how to take the suffering? I don't know. Hmm.
Yeah, that I haven't tried to figure out, but still, even if it was James and not Jesus, still the act of forgiving for
Yes.
what was being done to him
Right.
is the main point. It's not the sacrifice, like I said, sacrifice for our sins. It is definitely what I come to the conclusion of. It was all about the forgiving,
Yeah.
because if we didn't have that forgiveness, we would live in a different world right now. I
No.
guarantee we would be.
No. You're right. You're 100% right. Hmm. That is interesting. I'm stunned. Yeah. That's. Hmm. I, wow. I didn't know we were going this far with this. Wow. Hmm. Well, your second question is that is that as and your second question is what if everything in the universe that we see, which is a copy of the original, which means we're just doing this all over again. So are we just copying? Are we? What do you mean from beginning to end, or just that we're at some point mid 70s that we got copied and now we're living out the copy?
Well, no, it happened way, way before then. Uh, so I know a lot of people probably have heard of the demiurge,
Yes.
Yaldabaoth. Uh, that is basically the that is the construct of the material 3D world. And that's basically what we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I saw another movie and man, it was really, really, both these movies are like B movies, not well made, but they're interesting. This one, there was no large, they did away with large cities, and it was basically small communities of like 7 or 8, 9 houses out in the wilderness. Everybody had the same style house. Everybody wore the same style clothes. There was no material. It was all about the gaining of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of different than where we are right now, and that's what I'm saying. And what I mean by copy, I think everything's a copy. Like the angels, anything
Wow.
that's in this construct, actually uh, is a representation of the god of false light, which is the demiurge.
Okay.
So you got to think, even, and I know it's going to be hard for people, even your guides, because they're still stuck in this construct.
Right.
But they don't realize that they're still stuck in this construct because they haven't learned how to navigate the 7 different levels. So they could be sitting at, like, say, we're at level 1.
Mm-hmm.
They could be at level 3 because they were promised all this, but yet you're still stuck in this construct because you haven't made it through the other 4 to 5 levels that you needed to progress through to escape and get back to the pleroma. So
That
you got to think that
is, yeah.
everything's a copy. So there's angels in the original universe, but I think all the angels in this construct that we know of as angels, they are all there are copies because if God wanted to, he can order the angels to kill us, and guess what they would do? They would come down and kill us just like that. So tell me, is that an angelic being that would come down and take another's life because God said to?
Right. Yeah, you're right. Because, well, that's yeah, that's an angel or demon is depending on what team they fight for. That's basically it.
Yeah.
An angel can do terrible things, but as long as he's working for God, it's fine. Boy, that's interesting because yeah, I
Yeah.
do know that's the thing about Buddha is that angels and gods went to Buddha because he had all the secrets, and
Right.
some he said I can teach you, others he says I can't teach you. You're not ready. To a god, he told a god you're not ready. So that actually does go with what I know of some of the stories.
Yeah. And that also goes back to like Jesus and the disciples and Mary Magdalene. He taught Mary Magdalene a lot of stuff that he didn't teach his disciples, and they were upset
Yes.
about that because she actually understood what he was teaching where they did not understand.
Hmm. So there's probably more out there because I mean, some was saying that there's a book about Mary Magdalene in one in Nag Hammadi, but unfortunately it's not complete.
Yeah,
Um,
correct.
so, but others say
Yeah,
there are more to it. Oh, I just remember it's one of the scrolls that are wrote up in copper that they've now figured out how to read them because they don't have to open them up because they open up it'll be destroyed. So they know how to read them now using computers because the computers will scan through it.
mm-hmm.
So we will someday be able to get all of the Nag Hammadi stories because again we didn't see them because they're all wrapped up and by opening them you'll destroy them. So now we can read them in their rolled up
Yeah,
state. Interesting,
yeah,
interesting. So someday we'll have all these stories.
yeah. So I seen Scotty Boy put in there. He put the archons. Yes, the archons of this construct. When you get outside this construct, they are called eons, and there's only 13 of them. So you got to think archons, and then you look at archangels. What do they both do? They start out with ARC.
Okay.
That kind of came to me today too when I was thinking about the archons. I was like, holy crap, archangels. They both start out with ARC.
Right.
So could the archangels also be archons?
Ooh.
And we're just
Interesting.
calling them archangels because the archons they'll throw all kinds of love at you, but it's a false love because they're of the false light. So
Interesting.
they can be, what I'm saying, just bomb you with all this love, but is it true love? Because, like I said last night, the eternal flame of love, and that's what I think the spark from source is what's supposed to ignite that eternal flame inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
And that is basically like Jesus. I guarantee you that flame of eternal love is inside him because he loved everyone unconditionally. Even those who crucified him,
Right.
he still loved them. Why? Because he forgave them.
That's this. Hmm. Wow.
So now I'm trying to figure out, okay, if this is a replica
Yeah.
of the true universe, is there a part of my spirit that is actually inside that true universe, or is it all trapped here? Because if this is a copy, I wonder if there's a copy of me that was from the original universe and they copied me into this, or copied all of us into this reality. That's my next thing to try to figure out.
Yeah, that's something that I had been working on at the time, where, let's just say, sake of argument, that there are multiple timelines and I exist on
Mm-hmm.
multiple timelines, and I got in contact with other aspects of myself in other timelines. Um, and what was happening was, the linking of the different aspects. We could help each other. We couldn't give all of the information because it's difficult to do a meditation, but we could give some of it. But the problem is they were trying. I was the lowest of the low, but they wanted to bring me up, wanted to bring my energy up, and you have to be humble, like, okay, I will accept that. I accept that. So that actually makes a lot of sense, that if we're in a copy of a copy, maybe that's what's going on. That's why I'm the lowest of low, and they're trying to bring me to a higher level to, bring the energy up.
Yeah. I think it was about a year ago. I was in a meditation and I actually viewed, well, not only viewed an alternate timeline
Yes.
that's going on right now, and it could be actually another aspect of myself in this timeline. I'm not sure which one it was, but it was an overhead view, and I seen the African American family there. The mom and dad were sitting at the table, and there was a boy and a girl, and they were kind of like standing at the counter, and they were just talking and laughing. Well, then the next thing I know, I'm actually looking through his eyes at the wife and the two kids and feeling everything that he is feeling at that point in time. So I don't know if it was an alternate timeline I was looking at or if it was another aspect, because I'm a firm believer our spirit's so big and the body can't handle the full spirit inside. So we fractal off to have different experiences while we are experiencing in this lifetime. So it could have been one of them fractals that I was actually
Mm.
in looking through. And like I said, I mean, I felt everything, and it was like I was a part of the conversation when we were talking and laughing.
Hmm. So you incorporated into the body of, let's just say, your other version, and you actually experienced through their eyes, which was
Hmm.
you.
Yeah.
You don't know if it was your future or another timeline. Hmm.
The thing was, when I was inside that body, I knew it was me.
Yes.
And I'm not talking like the physical me you see here. When I was inside that body, I knew that this was me.
Yeah. I have done the same thing, but they were so amazing. That what they were doing was, and I was kind of like a passenger in the, seeing through his eyes, and kind of being a second voice in the head. It was, and it took me a while to get around that. Um, Experiencing from someone else, which was still me, in a different life path, and where we diverged was a long time ago. Mistakes you make, and they were much more successful. They were trying to explain to me that I can be like that. I just have to trust in myself, and the potential is all there. But again, it is an interesting process. And it is shocking, and it is a lot to incorporate. Notebooks, notebooks.
Hmm. But it's a kind of interesting theory that, well, I'm not really sure if it's theory. I think it's actuality that this is a false construct that we are living in, that is a copy of the true earth and the true universe. And I know on that other side, it's peace.
Yeah, well, so that would be.
And just wonder if that is the original Garden of Eden, the true earth and true universe, and not this copy.
Which would make more sense because
Right.
that Garden of Eden didn't have taking of life. It wasn't required.
Right. And then when he kicked him out of the Garden of Eden, that's when he kicked him out of the true uh, reality and put him into this false construct, because they would be easier to control in this false construct. Just a theory. I don't know if that happened or not, but the Garden of Eden could really mean the original earth.
Oh, and so let's just play this out a little further.
All right.
So if we live in a false construct, then maybe that Jesus was from the original and passed through to this one to help bring this one into alignment, get the copy closer to the original as an act of, I don't know, kindness? I don't know.
Yeah.
But would Jesus exist in both? Or, there's a lot to this. I'm going around and around in circles wondering.
Well, if it's a copy, then I'm sure most likely he probably did exist in both. But because where his consciousness was and what he has learned, he knew that this was a false construct. And that's the thing about the Nag Hammadi. It talks about, and even back then, they knew that this was a false construct, that this was all about material and it wasn't the true essence of who we are and where we should be. So it could be a very good possibility that he knew about the original, that this was a copy, and he was trying to teach us how to escape this copy and get back to the original.
Oh.
That makes some good sense by what his true teachings really were, that he may have knew about the original, came to this false construct to show us how to get to the original. And that's why they distorted everything and hid all that stuff, so that way they knew that you couldn't get back to the original, that you would be stuck in this construct and just keep getting recycled.
And also because of his power, they couldn't destroy it. So they could only manipulate it. They could only hide it, but they have to leave the truth there because of his power. But they can still manipulate it and put other things upon the dogmas.
Exactly.
Make it hard to find, but the truth is all there. It's all there for you to find, but you have to be ready to
read between the lines.
Right. Yeah, and that's I mean, that's all this is. That yes, we're a copy of a copy, but we have the potential to go to the original. We have all the guide is right there. The map is there. You just have to find. But unfortunately, sometimes the map is covered with trees.
Yep. And that was the other thing in the video I seen today. They were kind of talking about that when you look at something, it's actually a map. And I think what he was trying to do was lay out the map to show us how to ascend, go through, and come over back over to
Hmm.
the original and not the copy.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. And hmm. So, if there are seven gates, are we the seventh copy? Are we the copy of the copy of the copy? And but the path is always there that you can get to the original. If you just have to go through the seven gates, but as long as you get to the first one, you already know what you're in for, and you got to go. Oh wow!
Exactly. And keep going because that after you get past that seventh gate, you get to that eighth. That's when you could be going right back into the original and not the copy.
Right, right, right. Oh, that's even more interesting because once you get out of one, it's better than the past one. So you might get stuck there because you believe, oh, I transferred into a better reality. Wow, because that's what
Yeah,
you're teaching about going from 3D to 5D and that kind of thing. But is that part of the manipulation? Is that just another manipulation?
yeah, well, you got to think probably almost everything that we learn here is some form of manipulation.
Interesting, interesting.
That's why it's so important to free your mind of thought, clear your mind, and and go inside because it's all inside you. All the information, it's all inside you. And what they're banking on that you don't go inside, that you follow the construct that was laid out before you, and you think that you're going to a certain area when you're basically going to jail, and then you're getting paroled back into this life.
No, that's not what it. This Scotty boy is a troublemaker. Is that it? There it is. The truth is between the words. The silence parts of the key. When you can sit in silence.
Yes.
This is Scotty Boy writing this. This isn't
Hmm.
Who stole Scotty Boy's? That's profound.
But that is so true. When you can sit in silence, because that's quieting the mind down, and that's the hardest part. Is yeah, you can get your body still, but it's all about getting your consciousness and your mind still. Because once you're able to do that, then that's when your consciousness is free to explore.
Oh yes, that is true. I agree 100%. And a lot of times, unfortunately, with the spiritual stuff, is you get such great, what do they call it, downloads or great insights. You can get stuck on it, and then stuff like this comes up. What you're bringing up right now, it's so different. Let's just say different than what I'm used to thinking about. But because I'm opening my mind to it, even though it's different, I can consider it and work with it. And it's just, and I'm thinking that's part of the journey too. Is sometimes you get, in order to get the truth, sometimes you got to get false information in order to get you to the right path and to find the truth. Oh, this is so convoluted. Yes, interesting.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
that
what, yeah, we're in the copy, so everything's got to be a little off it in order to get to the truth. Wow.
hmm that's why I wanted to do the show. I wanted to try to get everybody thinking about these aspects because when you start thinking about them, things get revealed to you. I mean, if you would have we would have done this show a month ago, it would probably have been totally different.
Oh, absolutely
But
yes.
because I just went that one time, what if, and then boom, it just opened up the floodgates to make me start thinking about everything. Well, what if this? Well, what if that? It's always good. I mean, even when we cross over, it'd be good to, why is this? Why is that?
Yeah. And a huge message as to but sitting in silence. Yeah, sitting in silence. Thank you, Millie. Uh, these kind of things are huge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing. Yeah, sitting. How many people can sit in silence with themselves and just sit with themselves?
Well, that's why I think I was such a good projector when we did the experiment with our Wayne Steiger.
Yeah.
Is because I would go on to the other side of the lake, sit down on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and would just totally clear. And so I'm connected to Earth, and I would totally clear everything to where I was sitting in silence, and then my mind was sitting in silence. My consciousness was sitting in silence. Then once I achieved that, then I started asking, okay, show me how to make these connections. And because I didn't have all that other clutter, they were able to show me how to make these connections with all the participants.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you see, by the end, there was a lot of people getting things right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes. Everyone that experiment. It, it was a race car trying to run on the back roads. It has its potential, but it wasn't.
Yes.
It was. It's not. It wasn't good. You put a race car on the back roads. It's not good for the car. It just
Yeah.
doesn't work out very well, and that's what was happened. It wasn't. We needed. We need
We need
more.
we need a structure in there.
100%. That's exactly we needed structure. That's exactly what we needed.
Mm-hmm.
It needed much more structure, and if I had to do it again, I don't know if I could, because the amount of structure we would need, it would have to be cutting people off. I mean, that's the problem. You have to say, these are the rules. I'm sorry. You're no longer welcome. And that's just not the group. The group is about
Yeah.
welcoming everyone. And that's unfortunate. This project needed focus, and we didn't really have that 100%. Most people had 10%. So
Yeah. I was in there at 100%, maybe even 110. I was,
yeah, that was the problem. Yeah, it was
yeah.
very few of us, and trying to pick out the problems.
Yeah.
I still would like to revisit that entity when I get a chance.
Yeah. One thing I always said, I don't regret doing it, but would I ever do it again? Probably not. Or at least not create an egregore. What I would like to do sometime is, if I can get the right people together, is to try to telepathically communicate, because I think we can do it.
Oh no, I agree 100%. It's just every time, I'll be honest, every time a group of people get together and go, yeah, we'd like to do that, I think to myself, not with this person as leader. Unfortunately, we need solid people.
Right.
And I mean, as of yet, you
And
know,
I think we would also have more success if the group was smaller than actually being as large as it was.
I agree 100%. Yes. And it really needed to be. I mean, having a big group is fine, but we needed to establish more rules, and say, if you can't follow the rules, you're not being punished. It's just we need focus, because if you can't follow the rules, people are going to get hurt. So we need
Yeah.
everyone focused on it. So if you're taken out, it's not a punishment. It's to keep everyone safe in the
Yeah.
group. In now, since you're outside the group, you'll be more safe outside the group. That kind
Yeah.
of thing. But the problem is the shame of telling people, unfortunately, you're no longer welcome in the group, and you couldn't focus enough. I'm sorry. Maybe next time. It just wasn't part of it. And
Yeah.
so we never could succeed. Just being nice means we can't succeed.
Yeah. That what should have been done was, okay, there's going to be a questionnaire with 20 questions on it,
Absolutely, yes.
and then we're going to take the top 10 candidates that we think would be the best to do this project. And I just would have left it at that and had everybody answer and went through all the questionnaires and said, okay, this person is in the right mindset. Let's have them involved. Well, this person has some things going on in their lives. So that's going to be the distraction in this process. So, all right, we're going to maybe get them later on down the road in a different project when we do this again, possibly where they are actually in the right mindset and they don't have things going. That was the problem because there was a lot of people that had things going on in their lifetimes that was disruptive to the process of what we were trying to do.
And I agree. And honestly, that would have cut off Courtney and I from the group, even though we were at 100% trying our best. We had so much in our lives. My wife with breast cancer and her with her medical issues.
Yeah.
But we still were there every day doing on and on. But honestly, hindsight, I don't think we should have been in that. We should not have been in that because we could not focus our 100%. So I agree with you 100% that unfortunately it would be something that when you can focus, when your life is a little bit more serene or regulated, then you're welcome for the next trial. This one, we have to focus on people who don't have too many distractions.
Right.
Yes, you're right. 100%. Yes, I agree.
And that's what made it perfect for me because I really didn't have nothing going on in my life. And then I had a place every weekend where I could go and be in peace where there's no distractions. I mean, my closest neighbor down here's a quarter mile away. And the cabin's completely surrounded by woods. You can't even see it in the wintertime. Mm-hmm. So I knew when I was doing this, not only as a facilitator, but as trying to be a receiver, I knew that I had the perfect place to do it because I was sitting in nature, I was grounded, and I had no distractions whatsoever. And that again goes back to I was able to make everything still, the conscious, the body.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what's required.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I know a lot of people that meditate, and I'm sure they kind of get stuff out of it, but they got stuff going through their mind because they didn't clear their mind before they started meditating. They already started meditating with thoughts already going through their head.
Yes.
There's been a few times where I've done a 10 to 15 minute meditation. Nothing. It was just pure black darkness. Mm-hmm. Nothing, and there was no thoughts going through my head. Nothing. It was just nothing.
Yeah. I've done it a few times, but not more than 5-10 minutes. I mean,
yeah.
It's blissful. I mean, honestly, it's getting that. And I don't know the words to express it. That's the thing. Yeah, it's pure black nothingness, but it's also comfort, peace, tranquility. It's more than that because it's about being there. I don't know. It's putting the words doesn't fit. That's the thing. Because it's not peace and tranquility. Because it's nothing. But maybe after the fact, maybe that comes out, once you come out of it, you get the peace and tranquility. Because during it, you were so nothing. I don't know.
Yeah. There was one time I had someone perform Reiki on me, and I stopped doing it because I freaked them out. I used to be able to get myself so still and so relaxed that I could lower my heart rate down to about close to 10 beats a minute.
Wow.
Yeah. And it really freaked them out because they thought I was possibly going into cardiac arrest. And I was like, oh, no. I learned how to meditate, and through the control of the breath, I learned how to drop my heart rate down. And there's been a lot of people that's been able to do that. And one young guy wanted me to teach him, and I was like, nah, after I freaked her out, Heather basically asked me, don't teach him to do that because it could be dangerous. Because not only do you got to learn how to lower it, but you also need to learn how to raise it back up when you need to raise it back up.
Yeah, I at my work they have a blood pressure machine,
Mm-hmm.
and I was doing a little bit of work on it. I got on the blood pressure machine sitting for a while, and I got it was like 138 over something. It was astronomically high. And I got off, and the guy next to me goes, "What the hell? That's horrible." And I go, "Watch this." And I sat, and I just sat quietly, about maybe 2-3 minutes. And I sat, did it again, and I had a 102 over like 70. And he's like, "How the hell did you do? Is the machine broken?" And I'm like, "No, it can be done. You just, I know, blood pressure is just an aspect of your heart rate. But again,
Yep.
but that's about meditation, just knowing, getting into it. But I can do it for a short time. I can literally do it for a very short time. But life takes over sometimes. But it's fun.
Yes, it does.
Wow, we've gone all around. We did just too. This would have, but this is huge. This is
Yeah. I gave you a lot to think about, didn't I?
Well, yeah, that's. I like things like this though because it gives me something to grab and go. If I'm ever, the funny thing about my life is if I ever get stressed out, I like grabbing things like this, things that are so separate from my real life that I can consider it and take myself out of the real life for a short time, and just having spirituality and just going and questioning the universe about these things and experiencing it, because I have to separate myself from the physical world and go to the spiritual self and experience life as the spiritual self with these questions. And I might not get any answers, but at least I'll be able to ask the questions.
Yep. And believe me, if you ask the questions, the answers will come to you.
But that's the funny thing is that by not expecting the answers, I get more answers. Having no judgment, having no agenda, it opens me up to understanding the whole picture. And something, because once you have I'll ask my questions, but sometimes the questions are not phrased in the right way for the universe. But if you're open to it, okay, I can modify, and then the answer they give might not be related to the question, and you're okay with that because it gets you in the right direction.
The other thing too is don't get attached to the answer because the answer may not be what you're looking for. Because you
Exactly.
can ask a question, you think, okay, they're going to respond this way, and they respond a different way, and you're like, well, that ain't what I was looking for. That's because you were attached to something that you actually wanted, but the answer that they gave you was a different answer that was probably the right answer, but you were looking at for this outcome instead of that outcome.
Yeah, and that's why always after the session I will write down all the answers, even if they don't relate to the question. And sometimes it's like having two different conversations. But
Uh,
again, you're right, because the question I asked was the right question, but I had attachments to it from that my wanted, or so they answered the question. So the only way to understand the answer is to walk away and then come back again and read the answer first, hear what it says or listen to it, and then go back to what my question was and realize, okay, it does relate, but from reading the question to the answer, it won't relate at all. But if you go from the question back to the answer, from the answer back to the question, you'll get the information you might need, at least partially. Yeah, it's interesting.
and there's other times I'll ask a question and then just walk away because I know eventually when it's time for me to know the answer to that question,
Yeah.
boom, it just pops right in your head. You're like, okay, yeah, that's the answer to the question I was thinking about a day or two ago. So don't always think that, like, when you ask a question that you're going to immediately get that answer.
Absolutely. Yes.
Sometimes it's better just to ask the question and say, okay, when it comes time you're ready to give me the answer, I'm willing to receive it. And just go on. And I guarantee you, within a day or two, you're going to get the answer to the question. And most likely, it's going to be the answer that you actually wanted from that question.
Exactly. And well, even these shows, when I do these shows, sometimes I'll watch later and I'll get a whole different, 'cause I'm in the show, I'm doing the show, and I
Mm-hmm.
get I get whole different perspective, like watching from as a different person. Like, wait a second, and it's things that sometimes it's things that I've said that I never got the meaning to, that from it's I don't know, it's I don't
Yeah.
know, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we're almost an hour and a half into
Yeah.
this. Do you want to like pick up on another episode sometime here soon and
Oh,
go through the other
absolutely. Yeah.
couple questions that?
Yeah, absolutely. This, yes, absolutely. This is a great subject, and we don't have agenda. We just have these things. We talk about it, and we go with it. And I like this kind of thing. It's a back and forth. It's things that might not normally be comfortable with, but talking to you about it, it's old hat. I don't know. It's normal. It's fine. It's comforting. I don't know. Yes, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
again, we had 4 questions. And I had a couple more because I was afraid we go through them too quickly. We got
And
through
we only
4,
got through two.
and this is the kind of thing I like. The
Mm-hmm. Me too.
unexpected, that we get so much from something that I thought would just be a 5-10 minute thing, no big deal. We'll talk about it. Interesting. Oh yeah, haha, interesting.
Yeah.
No, there's so much knowledge that we're getting from this. So yeah,
Yes.
yes. And again, if we go somewhere else, we'll be another hour of this. But yeah,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think we need to focus. We need to digest this because there's a lot that I have here that I need to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You've given me a
Oh,
lot to consider.
it's my pleasure. Like I said, I've been wanting to do a show like this with somebody for a while, at least 4 to 5 weeks, just to get people thinking on a different perspective and looking at it from a different view than what they would normally look at something.
No, exactly. And I mean, and even if we just focus on one question each episode and just let it go, if the episode goes half an hour, we're good. If it goes for an hour and a half, we're good. But yeah, I think it's a good. This what if thing does work.
Mm-hmm.
Does work really well, and just live because I myself, I do a lot of shorts, but shorts do not get you anywhere on YouTube. I mean, it's all it's chewing gum. It's candy. I need to do more of these, you know, lives, and
Mm-hmm.
you bring something to it that I didn't have before. I don't know how to do, and you bring this whole what if thing is a great idea, and I appreciate it. So, yeah,
Thank
definitely
you.
future. Yeah, yes, definitely. We think we've done enough because I think
Yep.
this is gonna knock me out for a while.
Yep. Just want everybody in chat know I love you all. You're all just beautiful spirits. And I'm glad that me and Lucky were able to do this show for all of you. And I hope you all have learned something.
Yeah, and I do appreciate Trina Phoenix. You came in. Thank you so much, Millie. Uh, thank you so much, Scotty boy. Boy, you brought a lot to the table.
Yes, he
Uh,
did.
Thank you so much. Sometimes I don't expect much from you, and you surprise the hell out of me. Um, Michelle coming free, yeah. Thank you, Michelle coming free. You brought to it. I mean, just there's so much here that I'm gonna have to read later. Um, I really appreciate all you for coming. And if anyone's watching this in the future, because people do watch this crazy stuff in the future, including myself, make a comment on the bottom. It doesn't matter. I will
Yeah. And if you have a question, put it in the comments
absolutely.
and we can maybe answer it for you.
And everything goes. If I don't, I respond to every comment. If I don't respond to it, YouTube has deleted it on you. Please rewrite it. And if you think, why didn't you respond to it? Well, I'm not ignoring you. I respond to everyone, even the negativity. I respond to everyone. So if YouTube might have deleted it, I don't know why they're doing that. I would love to see every comment, but they don't give me that option. But again, thank you all. I really appreciate you all for coming. I really appreciate all your insights. I need to work with chat better, but I'll learn. Oh, Truth Wave. Hello, Victor. You've got to get ready for your show. All right. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you, Grandpa Brian.
Thank you.
Universe. Thank you for having this all work together. This is fantastic. All right. Go with God, everyone.